I'm talking to the version of you that is low-key right now in a season that they're ashamed of. You look at your life and it's not where you thought it would be by now. Maybe it's the relationship thing, maybe it's the career, maybe it's life in general. And you're looking around like, everybody around me is moving, yet I'm still here. If this is you, you're going to want to stay locked in. This one is specifically for you. Welcome back to Vibe Check Sundaze. I'm Unfollow the Noise, or you can call me Faye. This is just a space where I sit down and talk about what the week brought, what it built, what we can carry moving forward, and life conversations in general. And this week I've been sitting with something that I think most of us have been carrying around quietly. We're ashamed of our season, and that shame is messing with how we see everything. So that's what we're getting into today, the perspective of it all, whether it's a problem or a solution, depending on the lens that you're looking through. But first, let me check with myself, because that's what we do here. This week's high was me remaining consistent in my beginner journey of working out, however you want to call it. I find that when I get ready first thing in the morning and attack it right on, I just feel more pumped and I have more energy to work throughout the day. And so I was able to get 4 workouts in this week. No hesitation. I was pumped, got a good workout in. And so I'm holding on to that. I remind myself that when things feel slow, it's still moving. After all, I'm not out here watching the numbers on the scale. I'm making sure that I'm staying healthy for me and my loved ones. And ultimately, that's what matters. I didn't really have a low this week, but if I were to stop right now in this moment and think of something that often reoccurs based on my personality and who I am, I think overpouring into other people and neglecting self. I always ask myself in the moment or when it comes to mind, what is this building in me to prioritize me first, making sure that I'm okay, and once I'm okay, then I can water somebody else's garden. And these two questions take you to completely different places, and where you land depends on which one you ask. So enough blabbering, let's get right into today's episode. Stop for a minute and think about a waiting room. You know the one, you book an appointment, you show up on time, and then you just sit there. You don't really know how long it's going to take. And in that moment, you can't do anything to speed up the process. And honestly, it's not even the most comfortable place to be, because you came there, you had an appointment, you wanted to get in and get out. But there you are, sitting in the waiting room. You're just there waiting and hoping that they call your name soon. A lot of us are in a waiting room season right now, and we know it. That's the thing, that we know that we're actually in it, but we hate being there. And we don't understand why we're there. Most of us don't even want to have to sit in there longer than we have to. Here's where it gets interesting, because most of the time, the waiting room is not the problem. It's the shame of being in it. Let me take you all the way back. Think to your younger self and go back to the time where you couldn't wait to be a double digit. You couldn't wait to be 10. You couldn't wait to be 16. And back then, being a double digit was everything. And there you are, rushing every single season just to get to the next one. And as a kid, we really don't see it. All we know is that we just want to be older, because there are people in your surrounding that are older and things just look amazing. But as you get older, you start to see it. You look back and you're like, okay, I rushed from 18 to 21 and I made some moves that didn't really serve me because I wasn't ready. I was just in a hurry. Then you hit 21 and you're like, okay, I'm finally here. But now I think I need to slow it down. You tell yourself, okay, I need to actually sit and be in this season and explore and not rush through it. At 21, you're probably telling yourself, okay, I need to learn what this chapter is actually trying to teach me before I close it. And here's the thing about rushing, because when you rush through a preparation season, you end up carrying the unfinished lessons into the next one. Trust me, we don't leave them behind. And then we wonder why the same pattern keeps showing up. Well, if we rush through a season, if we rush through a chapter and we didn't learn the lesson, we just keep moving it forward. You probably hear it a lot, but the waiting room is not punishment, it's preparation. And what gets built in you during that season is the exact thing that you're going to need for what comes next. Let me say this clearly. You're comparing your inside to somebody else's outside. And that's never a fair fight for yourself. How many of us see somebody else's relationship and we're like, oh, I want that for myself. And then you self-sabotage and you're like, I don't have that for myself, so there must be something wrong with me. But what you don't see is what's happening in that house. Do you know what that relationship is even costing them? You don't know what they're crying about at 2 a.m. when nobody's watching. We're surrounded by so many people in our circle and in our communities. We take a look at what their career life looks like and we're like, oh, they must be winning and I must be behind. But do you know what they had to give up to get there? And you don't know what they're dealing with on the inside of that success. What you're seeing is the edit. you're actually living the raw footage. You're out here measuring the two like it's a fair comparison. I don't know how many times I need to say this, but social media is a highlight reel and people only show you what they want you to see. So here you are scrolling against everybody's best moments, measuring it up to your vulnerable ones, and then you wonder why you feel behind. You're out here scrolling on social media, looking at their life, comparing your life and saying, I ain't reached nowhere, I ain't got nothing. They have a whole production crew that tells them, stand here, say this, move here, while you're out here living in the real world, going through real situations and real problems. Don't measure yourself up to social media vanity. All you end up doing at that point is self-sabotage, and self-sabotage will take you down a rabbit hole you don't want to be in. And what you give permission to will carry you or it'll bury you. And I'm not being dramatic, I'm being real. So the question is not, why don't I have what they have? The question is, what am I giving permission to run me right now? When you let comparison drive you, you're giving away the wheel. At that point, God is no longer the driving force of your life. And then you end up chasing a life that wasn't even designed for you. Here's the part I think we don't talk about enough. When you're sitting in the shame, your lens closes and you're not able to see things from a different angle. You become so locked into the story of, I'm behind, I'm failing, I should have been further ahead. At that point, you can't even take in a different perspective. It's like you walking around with one eye closed and wondering why you can't see clearly. It's the shame of the waiting room that's keeping you in it. It has nothing to do with the season. It's all about the shame. If you can see just a little bit, you would stop asking, when is this going to be over? And start asking, what is this building in me? And those two questions lead to two different destinations. What you believe about your season is what decides where you go next. If you believe that you're behind and broken, then you make decisions from that angle. You end up rushing things that need time and you settle for what is available instead of what is right for you. And then you end up giving up right before the breakthrough because your lens told you it was never coming. But like I said, if you just make a drastic shift in that lens, you're going to start to see what the waiting room has designed for you. You're going to see it as something that is happening for you and not to you. Let me tell you, that's the shift that's going to change everything. Now, I would be lying to you if I sat here and said, just be positive and everything's going to be fine. I need you to know that it's okay not to be okay. For real, for real. Sit in it and feel it. And don't let anybody rush you out of a hard season before you've actually had the time to work yourself through it. But here's the fine line I want us to draw together. Like I said, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to decide to permanently live there. There's a difference between going through something and setting up residence in it. There's a difference between a hard chapter and deciding that the whole book ends here. Storms are gonna come and we can't change that, but we do get to choose the questions we ask while we're in it. Most of us keep asking, when is it gonna be over? But we need to flip the script and ask, what is this building in me? Because every storm is constructing something. The same way every loss is teaching something. And sometimes things have to fall apart so better things can fall into place. And it's not a coincidence, it's by design. Jeremiah 29:11. I won't stop repeating it. Let me tell you, them waiting rooms, they are built to bruise you and mold you. And it's not for perfection, but it's for continued progression. Every time that you feel the pain of being in that season, something is being shaped and built in you that's gonna matter later. And I need you to know, you won't see it yet. And that's because you're still in it. And let me talk about timing for a season, because I know that this is where we get frustrated. You've been working for it. You've been praying, showing up, and it's still not there. And so you start to wonder, am I the problem? And I have a question for you. What if what you want for yourself is not exactly the path that was designed for you? And not because anything is wrong with you, but because the version that is coming is way better than the version you planned. And yes, it might just take a little longer to build, but trust me, when it gets here, it's gonna last. I really need you to trust the timing. Don't do it blindly, not passively, but actively. And you're asking yourself, what does that look like? It means you keep going, you keep building, and you stay ready. And you let the timing do its thing while you do yours. And this is what gets me every single time, because there's somebody out there that needs the real version of who you are. They don't want the rushed version of you. They don't want the version of you that settled because it was taking too long. They want the built one. They want the one that went through the waiting room season and came out knowing what they know. And let me tell you, that person is the version of you that is going to make you proud. And let me bring it all in for a smooth landing. You're one decision away from changing the direction. And I'm not talking about opportunity or that one lucky break. I'm just talking about that one decision that changes everything. I'm talking about decisions like stop waiting to become. I'm talking about the decision to stop asking for permission to be where you are. I'm talking about decisions like getting back up, even though right now you know that you fell 20 times before. I need you to know that every fall had a lesson in it, and that lesson belongs to you. Stop waiting to become and just go. Don't be afraid to spread your wings. And if you fall, get back up. And not because it doesn't hurt, but because staying down will cost you more than getting up ever will. I'll be the first to tell you, every lesson is valid, even the ones that came with embarrassment. And yeah, even the ones that you wish that you can take back, especially those ones. And this one's important to me, and I honestly wish that I had somebody in my circle back then who would have told me this. You don't have to follow everything that you see. You're actually allowed to be the leader of your life. You're absolutely allowed to write a chapter that nobody around you has written before. And you don't need a blueprint that somebody else used. Your path can look like you. In this thing called life, we're gonna go through many waiting room seasons. That's just the truth. But the goal is ultimately to learn in them. Stop running from them. Stop being ashamed of them, because they're actually doing something new that nothing else can. Let me lock you in with the affirmation and say it with me if you need to. My waiting room season is not a setback, it's a setup. I'm being bruised, molded, and not broken. I choose the lens that moves me forward, and I trust that what is being built in me right now is exactly what I'm gonna need for what's to come. So if you're in a waiting season right now, I want you to know that that season doesn't get to name you. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you're not too late. You're being built, and what's being built in you is worth every minute it's taken. Every time I make these videos, I get so emotional because it brings me back, and it's just so real. But I want you to know, work here now and enjoy your race, even when it's hard. Ultimately, I'm just here to share. I'm just here to encourage and to tell you to trust that the perspective that you're choosing today is already changing the direction in which you're heading. Teary-eyed and all, this is as real as it's gonna get. This is your Vibe Check Sunday for the week. I love y'all. I mean it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.